Hello everyone, welcome back to Movies I'll Never See. Tonight I'm going to be talking about a very, very easy target of movies that I never want to see, and I actually recommend that people never do see. And I hope that these movies, yes, I'm doing a series of movies now, not just one movie, where I just, no, I don't ever want to see these movies. I am, of course, referring to all movies made that are directed by Jason Freeberg and Aaron Seltzer, or however you say their names. Movies like Date Movie, Epic Movie, Disaster Movie, Meet the Spartans, Vampire Sucks, The Starving Games. You know, those movies. Just those really awful parody movies. And I actually have an interesting experience. I remember when I was a teenager and I saw like a poster for Epic Movie, and I was actually intrigued about the idea of seeing a lot of different movies being made fun of. And then I saw it again with Vampires Suck. I thought it would have been an interesting idea to see Twilight be made fun of in an entire movie. And I was actually wanting to see Vampires Suck in theaters. I actually tried asking my mom to see it in theaters. Luckily, that never happened, and there was a kid at my school who said that it was a horrible movie, but there was another one that liked the movie, and another one that liked Epic Movie. It's something that you can never understand. So what happened was, one night, my mom actually rented Epic Movie, and I said, no, don't watch it, you're not gonna like it. I pretty much predicted what this movie was going to be. And it was actually, I decided to do a test where I took my laptop out on the staircase, because here's how it works at my house, or my parents' house. They have the living room, and then there's a staircase on the side of the room that leads to our bedrooms. And I was at the top of the staircase surfing the internet while they were watching the movie. So I technically sort of saw Epic Movie, but at the same time I was not paying attention to it. I was just surfing the internet while it was playing. And if you're surfing the internet while a movie's playing, then you're not giving your full attention to it. That was my belief at the time. And at first, I thought that it sounded like that maybe they were getting enjoyment out of it, like they maybe laughed at a couple of jokes. They kind of found it amusing at what movies were being made fun of because they saw a lot of those movies at the time. However, there was just a point to where they were not laughing anymore. It was just silence. And the one point I knew that they were starting to really hate this movie was when it got to the scene where they were making fun of Pirates of the Caribbean, and it had them breaking into a rap song. My dad started skipping ahead because he couldn't stand it. And about 15 minutes before the movie was even supposed to be over, he shut it off completely. Just saying that, no, this is awful, I hate this. And in case you're wondering, it was a theatrical version of the movie that they watched, of course, not the unrated cut, just because the unrated cut has a lot more swearing and sexual stuff, or at least something like that. So after that was off, it was my parents have known they made a horrible mistake just trying to watch that. And here's the thing about those directors, they're mostly really secret directors. You see their movies and then you know nothing about them. And from what I can tell, they're just completely inept of what they do. That's really it. It was this, you should blame the studio for giving them all this money, not them themselves. And the fact that they have not learned a thing from making any of their movies, because now they continue to make movies where it seems like production companies are made specifically just to make the movie. Ketchup Entertainment was the production company for The Starving Games. I mean, ugh. That's just... yeah. It seems like people have finally learned that those movies are terrible, except for the directors themselves who keep making these movies. And I never want to see these movies because I've heard that they're the worst comedy movies ever made. That they're all really awful. And you can add in any movie that is like really awful, it's a spoof movie, into the list of really bad movies that I never want to watch. And I'll never watch. Because I'm not going to get anything out of them. Because when you have a bad comedy, what is there to a movie other than maybe it's an absolute train wreck of an experience? Like you can see, it's like, how bad can this really be? Ugh. But no, I never want to see these movies. I've seen plenty of people review them. I think that the funniest is Corey Coleman of Spill.com, who is now double toasted. But since the movies are not theatrically released anymore, he doesn't have to watch them now. But it was funny seeing him back then, just almost in tears because of how bad these movies are. And I've seen 2 really good parody movies. I mean, I've seen Airplane. I haven't seen Airport, but Airplane is a really funny movie. I've seen The Naked Gun. I'm not sure if that's actually a parody movie. It might actually just be a spoof of a genre rather than an actual parody. I personally think it counts. It's a funny movie. I've seen parts of the, was it Spaceballs movie? Like, all the scenes with the villains are funny in that one. Yeah. It's like, you need to properly bring back parody movies in a way to where it's actually funny and not just some of the most laziest, poorest filmmaking ever. I mean, if there are YouTube videos that are funnier than these parody movies, then you know you're doing something wrong. Or at least production values that are better. So, yes, very bad parody movies. I would never recommend anybody to watch them, but I would recommend highly the old parody movies that are actually good. Airplane, The Naked Gun. I want to see Young Frankenstein after I see Bride of Frankenstein because I haven't seen that one yet. I actually want to see the movies that are being made fun of beforehand. Yes. So, movies. I just remember I asked my brother, what's the worst movie you've ever seen? And he wanted to say epic movie, but he didn't finish it because Dad shut it off. He probably would have put it on his worst list if he actually did finish it. But I showed him Film Brain's review of epic movie, so he knows how the movie ends. Like, he can probably count it. Otherwise, the worst movie he'd seen was probably Baby Geniuses. He somehow managed to sit through the entirety of that while surfing for Netflix one day. Like, maybe that's his worst. I'm actually trying to think of what would be more movies that I never want to see. Because I stand by the fact that if a movie is bad, and it just looks really bad, and there's no chance that you're going to get any enjoyment out of it when you watch it, then just don't. And don't show your support to it, and just don't give your money to it. The only way around this is if you're actually going to go through the effort of making a really insightful review about this movie, like I Hate Everything does with a Search for the Worst videos. I mean, those give the excuse of him looking at these horrible movies because he is so great at analyzing just why they're so bad and why they're the absolute worst. But those parody movies represent everything that's evil about comedic cinema. And that they're just lazy, despicable filmmaking that has no merits of quality from start to finish. I mean, there's no good effects, there's no good characters, there is no story, everything is a bunch of random scenes, and I don't want any part of it. I just hope that they fade away, or they get grouped in a category to where like, ugh, that was bad, and I want to forget it forever. I just want to forget it forever. That's my thoughts on the spoof movies that I'll never see. I want to just never ever want my associate with them. I've said enough. Good night, everyone.